Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a kind of wisdom that just completely turns worldly thinking upside down. A wisdom of God that apparently sees our usual, wisdom of this world as, well, foolishness.
And vice versa, right. The worldly view sees the divine wisdom as equally foolish.
Exactly. But here's the real kicker. The lecture says the path to this deeper understanding, isn't about cracking some complex intellectual code.
No.
No, it's through love. As simple as that, almost. Kind of intriguing, isn't it?
It really is. It immediately sets up this, well, fundamental clash. Makes you ask, what is wisdom, really? Is it smarts, worldly success, or something else?
Right. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've got this transcript from April 1965, a lecture called In Praise of Wisdom.
Okay.
And it's not just theory. There's this really incredible personal story woven in that, well, it puts the power of imagination in a totally different light.
An anecdote, always helpful.
Yeah. So for our listeners, always looking to get those key insights quickly, this deep dive should offer some, let's say, surprising moments. We're aiming to really get our heads around these two ideas of wisdom and the potential and, frankly, the risks of using imagination the way this lecture describes. That's the mission.
It taps into a really old question, doesn't it? How do we actually understand things? This lecture seems to point down a path that might feel pretty counterintuitive for a lot of people.
So right off the bat, it draws this line in the sand. Wisdom of this world, foolish to God. Wisdom of God, foolish to the world. Why start so antagonistically, maybe?
Well, it forces you to question your assumptions. What do we value as wisdom? Logic, proof. By setting them up as opposites, it kind of clears the ground for something different, something maybe missed by those worldly metrics.
And then the really interesting part, accessing this wisdom of God. It's not through study, not through ritual necessarily, but through what the lecture calls the highest gift of the Spirit. And that gift, it's love.
Wow. Okay. So shifting focus from the head to the heart, essentially, suggesting connection and empathy might be deeper ways of knowing than just pure intellect.
It seems that way, almost. Surprisingly simple. And to illustrate this, the lecture uses this image from the Bible, from Proverbs. Wisdom is personified as a little child. What does that evoke for you?
A child. Well, innocence, maybe. Playfulness, seeing things without all the baggage we collect. Seeing the world fresh.
Exactly. The lecture pulls quotes from Proverbs 8, where wisdom says things like, I was there before anything was made, playing beside God, delighting in humanity.
Right, a sense of primordial presence and joy.
But then there's this really stark warning attached. He who misses me injures himself. All who hate me love death. That's pretty intense.
It is intense. It frames wisdom not just as nice to have, but as vital. Rejecting it isn't just an intellectual choice. It's portrayed as choosing a path away from life itself. Really strong stuff.
Then it adds another layer. Referencing Luke, it says, wisdom is justified by her children. So this childlike wisdom becomes a kind of parent, bringing forth itself in a whole different world.
Okay, so it generates something.
Yes, but here's a twist. Someone who connects with this divine wisdom doesn't suddenly become, a world beater. They don't get smarter at fixing the plumbing or anything.
So it's not about improving your worldly skills or gaining knowledge in that sense?
Apparently not. It's about entering a different realm, a different kind of power that's sort of beyond everyday understanding.
That distinction is really important. It's not about worldly success markers at all.
In this power, the lecture's very clear, is infinitely more dangerous than earthly power if it's not handled right.
More dangerous. How so?
Well, it uses analogies. We use electricity, right? It can be dangerous. We drive cars, people get hurt, but we still drive. This spiritual power, though, the potential for harm, is supposedly much greater.
Maybe because it's operating on a different level. Consciousness, perhaps, not just physical stuff. Makes sense. It would require more care, more respect.
But here's the thing. Despite that danger, the lecture says you have to experiment with it. It's necessary.
Necessary, even with the risk.
Yeah. And the key to doing it safely, love. Again, it's the way in and it's the safety rail.
Right. So the intention behind using this power is everything. Love implies, I guess, a selfless motive, aiming for good, which acts as a kind of compass.
Seems to be the idea. Which brings us to this amazing story the lecturer shared about a friend.
The anecdote. Okay.
This friend, a writer, had this vision telling him to use his imagination for others, just like he does when writing his stories.
Yeah.
Really getting inside the characters.
Okay. That's a powerful analogy, embodying another perspective. Deep empathy required.
So he tries it. First subject,
Mm.
a young woman, Beth.
Yeah.
Her big problem. She needed a car.
Mm.
Badly. So the friend deliberately uses his imagination. He becomes Beth, feels what it's like to be her, even being female, looks in the mirror as Beth, envisions walking outside, seeing a new car waiting.
Wow, okay. Really specific.
Gets in, imagines driving, the wind, everything, even down to uncomfortable high heels he imagined her wearing. Parks the car, steps out of the Beth persona, and sees her beaming behind the wheel.
The level of detail is striking. It's not just a quick thought. It's a full-on imaginative immersion.
And the very next day,
Mm-hmm.
he runs into Beth at her job. She's ecstatic. Pulls him and his wife outside to show them her brand new car.
No way.
Yes. And it's the exact make, exact color, convertible, top down, just like he imagined.
Okay, that's pretty astonishing, the immediacy of it. Makes you really wonder about that inner world, outer reality connection.
Of course, you immediately ask, well, how did she actually get it? Turns out she hadn't been visiting her mom much because she had no transport.
Ah, okay. A practical reason.
Right. So the mom sends her money out of the blue, specifically for a car. Even calls it a selfish gift because she missed seeing her daughter.
So there's a perfectly logical, worldly explanation sitting right alongside the imaginative act.
Exactly. Which is fascinating in itself, right? How the mundane explanation can coexist with the potentially miraculous. It doesn't necessarily cancel it out.
True. Life is often layered like that.
But then the story takes a sharp turn. Beth, now with her car and freedom, wants to break up with this older musician she'd been seeing.
Okay.
He'd been good to her, but she felt it was time. Didn't want to hurt him, though. So she asks the imaginative friend for help again.
To help with the breakup, that feels
Hmm.
a bit more ethically tricky, maybe. Even imaginatively.
You think? Well, he agrees. He steps back into the Beth persona, intending to help her end it gently.
With good intentions, then.
Initially, yes. But this is where it goes sideways. At the crucial moment in this imagined breakup, instead of kindness, the friend admits he acted with ill will. He even mimicked this dismissive hand gesture Beth used for people she found offensive. It's like his own negativity or maybe some judgment crept in.
Okay. So even with the best intentions, our own stuff can interfere, especially in that imaginative space. Lack of self-awareness, perhaps?
And the result was, honestly, terrifying. He got stuck, completely trapped in Beth's personality for 6 hours.
What? Trapped? How?
He said he was panicked, absolutely terrified. He'd permanently think he was a girl, couldn't get back to himself. His wife even asked him, "Who are you?" Can you imagine?
That sounds incredibly destabilizing. Losing your sense of self like that. It really shows how powerful that imaginative immersion is and how boundaries can blur, especially with negative emotion involved.
Finally, after this horrible struggle, he broke free, just snapped out of it. And right then, he heard what he called a heavenly voice of love, saying something like, "I've restored my soul, gathering my own in love, beauty, joy."
Wow. So love, again, is the resolution, the restoring force. Seems like it. And his big takeaway, his warning, was crystal clear. Never use imagination unless you use it in love. Because that ill will, that negativity, while in her persona, that's what trapped him, not the initial act of helping.
That's a potent lesson, a serious caution about responsibility, even within your own mind, if it affects others or yourself that deeply. Love and empathy is non-negotiables.
This whole experience then loops back to scripture in the lecture, Jeremiah 9, talking about true glory, not boasting in worldly wisdom or power or riches, but in understanding and knowing God through practicing kindness, justice, righteousness, things God delights in.
Which connects right back to love, essentially. True wisdom shown in how you act, how you treat others, driven by those positive qualities.
And then another fascinating connection, this creative power, this imagination. The lecture likens it to our wonderful human imagination and then links that to the seed, which is Jesus Christ.
Okay, that elevates imagination significantly. Not just daydreaming, but a fundamental, perhaps divine, creative capacity within us. Yeah. And it uses this analogy like sperm easily entering the egg to explain how imaginative power, when moved by love, can easily influence another's reality.
The love makes it harmonious, allows the influence without forceful imposition.
Exactly. If done in love, the new concept, the fertilizer, is just left there to hatch out naturally. The person doing the imagining doesn't get entangled or trapped.
That offers a kind of mechanism for how it should work, contrasting with the friend's negative experience. Love is the key to safe and effective influence.
But the lecture circles back again, reminding us this whole idea, this power, still seems foolish to the world's wise, the intellectuals, the academics, a stumbling block to certain mindsets.
Right.
It even implies that brilliant scholars might rank spiritually lower than someone with direct spiritual abilities, like the ones listed in Corinthians: apostle, prophet, miracle worker.
It definitely challenges our usual hierarchies of knowledge, doesn't it? Suggests a different kind of intelligence is valued here, maybe more experiential, more connected.
So the bottom line, hammered home repeatedly: use this power only lovingly. Follow the golden rule. Act with ill will while you're imaginatively in someone else's space, their chamber, and you risk getting trapped. The friend story is the ultimate cautionary tale.
The responsibility is immense. It's not a tool for manipulation or negativity. Love is the only safe operating system, basically.
Someone in the original lecture audience asked a clarifying question. Did the friend keep his own mind while he was being Beth?
Good question.
And the answer was yes. He was thinking his thoughts, but through her perspective, her persona. The core I am feeling never changed, even in the panic of being trapped.
Okay, that's crucial. It wasn't possession. It was deep empathy gone wrong due to negative intent.
Right, and they also clarified the car thing happened in a vision or dream state for him, but the car's existence was confirmed in the waking world. Again, it was his ill will, not Beth's personality somehow taking over, that caused the trapping.
Those details really help refine the understanding of what happened. It wasn't about losing himself entirely, but about the consequences of his own internal state while imaginatively connected.
And just to round out that story, the friend's original goal, remember, was to help Beth get free, financially independent with the car, free to pursue singing, and free from that relationship.
The positive intention behind it all.
Yeah, the lecture notes that the outcome of the breakup wasn't known yet, as it was all very recent. But the friend had granted her that freedom in his imagination, which the lecture presents as the most powerful place to do it, trusting it would manifest without harm if held in love.
Setting the positive intention and letting it unfold, trusting the process when aligned with love.
So wrapping this deep dive up,
Uh-huh.
the big takeaway really seems to be the incredible, almost latent power within our imagination.
Mm.
It's tied to this higher wisdom, accessible through love. But using it demands real care.
Yeah.
Pure, loving intention is critical to avoid some seriously negative blowback.
Absolutely. And thinking about our listeners, it really makes you ponder, doesn't it? In a world often focused on logic, on proof, on tangible success, what does it mean to consider a wisdom centered entirely on love? How could that shift how we see ourselves, how we interact?
Yeah, exactly. And that leaves us with this final thought. If our imagination holds this kind of transformative power, what could happen if we consciously, deliberately directed it with love? Not just for ourselves, but for others. How might that change things? And what does this kind of love-based power really mean compared to the power structures we usually see in the world? Definitely something to, well, let your imagination explore. Lovingly, of course.